Welcome to Blooming Dandelion, where we explore healing, growing, and evolving to live a balanced and fulfilling life. I'm your host, Andrea Rivera Cazul, and each week we'll dive into practical tips, inspiring stories, and expert advice to help you bloom. Let's get started. Hi, Dandelion. Welcome back to Blooming Dandelion. It's been a couple of days since we have connected. I've been on our Instagram page, I have been posting, but if you don't know already, your girl moved. I moved the last weekend that we didn't have a podcast episode. I was knee deep in boxes, in bags, in cleaning. When I tell you that I'm exhausted, I don't know if you believe me, because moving is emotionally exhausting. It is physically exhausting, especially if you don't ask someone or a company to help you out. So just know that I have been recuperating. I have been unpacking. I have been settling in. And time will tell. Time will tell as we continue to settle in and everything, just how my body is functioning. But for right now, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling rested. And the day that I'm recording this is the start of the weekend. So just know that we're really excited for just some time to be on our own, to be with family and friends and everything. And I think that's really important to balance out between the stressful times, that you balance it with something that you're going to enjoy, that you're going to be with others, surrounded by loved ones. Just really important that you focus on what it is that you need to balance within your time. I want to say as well, it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and the topic for today will be related to domestic violence. I think it's important to always speak out about it. If that means sharing my story so that I can speak up and speak out, I will always do that. I think that comes first with any platform that I have. I want to ensure that folks are educated and that they feel safe and that they know signs that they should be worried about. But I'm glad that we get to be here together and that we get to celebrate Domestic Violence Awareness Month. With that being said, we're going to dig into our bloomin' soil. I think it's easy to say that my soil of this week has just been moving, and I think that on that same energy or same topic, I think that also is my bloom, because I think that when you are transitioning into a new space, when you are transitioning out of the space that you called home, there are a lot of emotions and feelings that come up. And I think it's important to sit with those feelings, to honor them, because they come from a very special place. I think that it's healing to move on to a next step. It's so healing to close a chapter and say, okay, this place gave me good times, bad times, and made me grow as a person. And that's how I view this move. I think that there was a lot that I learned. I feel like I truly became a full-fledged adult because I was doing a lot of, I bought my car in that apartment. I was able to rent an apartment. First of all, I think that was the biggest one. I had been only in places that I had never kind of conducted paperwork or anything. And I worked at a place that gave me housing. And so, this was a really big leap into adulthood for me. And I just want you to honor those transitions. Honor how you feel. Don't stay stuck in those feelings. Know that change is scary, but change is also beautiful. Change allows us to grow. Change allows us to start fresh and to be willing to just try out a new journey. And I think that that's really important, that if you are on a self-love journey, if you are on a healing journey or in a growth journey, that you know that sometimes we need to let go of things that don't serve us anymore. And that apartment, I can tell you right now, was not serving me anymore. Okay? Financially, I had to make an adult decision and say, I can't. And that's okay. It is okay. There's no shame in knowing your limitations. There is no shame in knowing that, you can't do this on your own, that you might need some help sometimes. So I'm really excited that that was my bloom and soil this week. And I just want to transition now into our topic of the day. I know that Domestic Violence Awareness Month is always, it's not triggering for me. I think the month of November is usually more triggering for me. And that's me being honest. And November was kind of the height of everything for me. But I would say that October, like leading up to that November month, it definitely impacted me and impacted the relationship that I had with that person. Obviously, I had been in this relationship for over 7.5 years. We met as college sweethearts, I would say. My first semester at college was when I met this person, and I was in a very vulnerable place. And I think with anyone that goes through any type of domestic violence or abuse, know that a lot of times your abuser will find you at the lowest part of your life. And even not, sometimes they'll get you at your most confident. They will cross a line and test boundaries until they see what it is that we kind of let go and let them do to us. I want to talk really a little bit about the signs of love bombing, because I think love bombing is something that is it's talked about, but not talked about, right? I think that we know what love bombing is. But I also think that there are a lot of places that still romanticize love bombing. So I'm going to read a little bit. Everything that I'm talking about today will be from thehotline.org. It is a national domestic violence hotline. You can access help via chat. You can also call them. And I think this is really, really important information. So like I said, love bombing is often already romanticized in TV and movies. It's the typical story that involves an uninterested character who doesn't really want to be in a relationship, who doesn't really want to be with this person, but they keep on getting kind of persecuted or followed or sent extravagant gifts or sent money, whatever the case may be. I mean, there's truly no limit to what love bombing looks like. I think it really depends on the person. So I'm going to read you this. So what is love bombing? So according to Psychology Today, love bombing is an attempt to influence another person with over-the-top displays of attention and affection. This kind of behavior is a form of emotional abuse. And although it can be experienced during any stage of a relationship, it is often seen in the early stages of getting to know one another. It may seem like your new partner really likes you, but love bombing can often serve as a warning sign for an unhealthy relationship. When I read this and think back to the time when I was in this committed relationship, I think about whenever there was an argument, and there was always going to be an argument. And I think that love bombing coincides so intertwined and intersects so much with the cycle of abuse, right? You have the honeymoon stage, you have the arguing, and then you have the rupture, and then you go back to the honeymoon stage. And in between those stages comes the love bombing. And when the love bombing starts, it really, you kind of are in a place of like, well, I have to forgive him. Look at, he's doing so much, or they're doing so much for me. They're putting in the effort. They want to see me happy and they love me so much. And oh my gosh, they remembered something about me that I told them on the first date. We romanticize those details. And then we forget about the abuse that existed an hour ago, 2 days ago, whatever may be, right? And that's how the cycle of abuse starts. I would say that honestly, and I'm reading this, sign number 1 is soulmate status. And I read that and I'm like, damn, that literally happened to me within the first couple of months of my relationship. I was like, this is the one. He loves me so much. And what was crazy is that in maybe 2 months from us starting to get to know each other and all that stuff, he called me a slut. He called me so many things out of my name. He literally kicked me out of his room. And this was all on a college campus. I think back and I'm like, wow, like no one saw the signs. We hid them so well. I hid them so well. I thought that I didn't deserve any other form of love. I thought that this could be the only person for me. So why would I get rid of the situation, even if it's hard on me now? Like, things will get better. And it always became a thought process of like, well, I did something, I pissed him off, so like that's what triggered him. And I say that out loud now, and I get very emotional. I get very emotional about the person that I was then. I get very emotional at the fact that I was ever in that place. And it's sad. It sucks. But you really do think that when you find your soulmate, that it's supposed to be, you know, this aha moment that we're perfect for each other. And I think that taints our experience, that we are supposed to have a soulmate, because I fought so hard. I fought so hard. I was like, I'm going to keep this relationship alive. It's my job. This person just has never felt this type of love before, so I have to show them and teach them. And I want to pause right there and let you know that if you ever get that form of thinking to happen, of saying, I need to help them out, I need to make sure that they heal from this, you are not a rehab center. We are not rehab centers. We are not here to teach someone how to treat you if it is that they're treating you poorly, and if it is that they're abusing you. Something else is going on, and it's not your problem. It's not, there's a lot. There's a lot. So when love bombing occurs, often labels such as soulmate, their person, or their other half are applied early on in the relationship. And the tidbit about that, I truly think that, and I read this too, and it says that it's very validating. Again, agree. I agree that it's so validating for somebody to say, you're my soulmate. I love you. I'll never love anyone else more than I love you. Who wouldn't want to be told that, right? And at 18, 19, are you insane? Like, you obviously want to experience that form of love. And it's so crazy because I keep reading and it says, like, even being told I love you within a couple of weeks of starting a relationship can be a red flag. And that's exactly what happened to me in that relationship. Things happen so fast. And it's just, It's insane to think about. Sign number 2 can be exaggerated compliments. So compliments are always great, right? I think that we all need that type of validation. And I think that that all depends also on what kind of love language you prefer, whether you're a gift giver, whether you're a person that needs words of affirmation. I think that there are different ways that you obviously want to receive love. But some examples of over the top compliments that could be red flags, right? Is my prayers have been answered now that you are in my life. I feel like you were created just for me. I can't imagine finding anyone more perfect than you. My life would be nothing without you. Side note, that last one, my life would be nothing without you. Please be careful when someone tells you that, because many a times will they weaponize that phrase. And when they weaponize that phrase, it turns into, I can't live without you, so I'm leaving, and you won't find me, and I'm going to harm myself. And number 2 is, I can't live without you, and if you're leaving me, we are both leaving this earth. I don't say that lightly. I don't. I know it's hard to hear. I know that if you are listening and you are a parent, if you are a survivor, if you are a friend, a sister, a brother, anyone who has had to be there for someone, I think it's important to know that watch those comments and ask for help whenever you are hearing those comments, because they will weaponize. They will weaponize and make you think that because you want to leave, or because you finally are seeing the signs, they will try to make it like a guilty experience and guilt trip you and make you want to stay. Sign number 3 is gifts. A lot of time they'll buy your affection, they'll buy your emotions back. And so a lot of times we'll be paying for every single date if you are going on one, financing your living expenses such as mortgage or car payments, international flights, stays, vacations, or high-end designer clothing and jewelry. By doing this, it makes you feel like no one else is going to dedicate that time, money, energy towards me. Like, this is the best that I can do. Again, that mind frame. It's almost like a brainwashing experience. And sign number 4, communication overload. When they are constantly trying to talk to you and they aren't allowing you to have your own personal life, because at the end of the day, a relationship adds on to who you are. It doesn't take away from the person you were. And if they aren't comfortable with you having relationships with your family, with friends, that you go out on girls' nights and you go painting with friends, that you go and they constantly have to check in on you and constantly have to talk to you and see what you're doing and see how you're doing and all that stuff, that is a red flag. Okay? There's many other things that can be red flags, right? I think that really depends on the boundaries that you set for yourself and your relationship, and you have to be cautious with those things. But love bombing is one of those things that intersects so well and so adamantly with the cycle of abuse that it's something that you really have to be cautious about. In the first one that I mentioned, them saying that they're your better half or they're your soulmate, I have an anecdote. When I left my situation, which was December of 2018, I actually had fled back home to Puerto Rico. My mom, which I know she watches, so thank you. My mom immediately called a psychologist and had me go to intense therapy for those 4 weeks that I was there. And my first time entering that office, I unloaded on my psychologist, my therapist. And it was truly so nice because I needed to just share. And in that first meeting, she asked me, she was like, "Why are you here?" And I unloaded on her. I said, well, I have been married for only 4 months or so, because we had gotten married in June. And I was like, I'm here because this happened in November. Things have gotten out of hand. My family took me away from Iowa and brought me back here. And as I was talking about it, she just looked at me and she was like, "That's a lot to go through in just 2-3 weeks." And for me, I was just like, it's a lot. I was like, I know it was a lot, but like, it also was like so normalized at that point because there was something going on all the time that I was like, oh yeah, this isn't normal for someone to be going through. And when we were talking, and I think that one of the biggest things that I'm very grateful for her was that she said, at the end of the day, it's your choice whether you don't go back and get back in a relationship with him. And she was like, if you do consider that, you both need to go to therapy. Because if not, nothing will get solved and things won't heal. And I agreed with her and I said, I have no interest in going back there. The second thing that she said before we finished our 4-week intensive, before I went back to work, she said, I want you to know that there is no such thing as a better half, that there's no such thing as having an other half, because you are sitting in front of me and you are a whole person. You are not missing a limb. You are not missing your head. You're not missing anything. You are a whole person, and that person does not dignify the fact that you are less than if you're not with them. And it was a light bulb effect, really, truly. And it's something that I'll forever keep repeating. That's so important for me. And it was a lot. I think back about those things and the signs of love bombing and the signs of having to work on repairing myself. And even after that, after going to therapy, I received so many emails. I received so many ways of him trying to contact me, and it wasn't healthy. It wasn't safe. And I'm grateful for the people that I had around me. I think that it takes a really long time to heal. I mean, it's been about 5-6 years now since that situation, and I'm still trying to heal, trying to repair things that had been not necessarily taken away from me, but at least were used or weaponized against me. I think back towards the day before I left to Puerto Rico. I think back about how my phone was blowing up, because I had told him, I was like, you are not allowed back here. I want you out. I lied to my friends and told them that he had moved out, when in fact he hadn't. And he stayed in the guest bedroom, and when he did that, I did not sleep, not once, because the calls were exactly that whole cycle of abuse, love bombing. It was, I can't live without you, and there's nothing that you can do without me. I think back at the texts and the calls that he did that night, and he would call me every 3 minutes, and he would just say, hey, I understand why you're doing this, and I know that I hurt you, and please, I love you, no one will be there for me. And would then hang up and call me back and just say, well, you're nothing without me, and I can do so much better, and putting me down. And the next one was him hyperventilating, and I couldn't deal with it anymore. It gets to a point that the love bombing becomes so exhausting. And I think also the reality is that when it comes to these situations, sometimes you don't feel like there is an out except harming yourself. And I want you to know that there are ways to get out. Okay? There have been so many times throughout those 7.5 years that I was made to feel worthless. And I thought that the only way to leave was harming myself. And that's always so hard to think about. And I'm happy that I'm here. I'm happy that I didn't go through with my thoughts. And I'm happy that I got help. As we go through Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I want you to know that it is so important to be there for others. If you are seeing signs of your friends, of your family members going through this, they need you. And no matter what has happened before or what could have possibly triggered a bad experience between y'all or anything, they need your support. And sometimes support means just being there to listen, being there to take them out to lunch and listen to what's going on. Sometimes it's understanding that you are seeing the signs, but they don't see it yet. That can be the most frustrating part, is that they can see all of the signs, but you can't. And trust me, sometimes it's neither. Sometimes we are all in this fairy tale land because the survivor does such a well and good job of saving the narcissist, and the narcissist just does the most amazing job at hiding who they are. I want you to know that if you are a survivor and you want to get out, there are resources. The hotline.org is a national one, and they can help you find resources in your area. There's also ways that you can find online. And if you do need support within your organization or anything, a lot of job sites will have those support systems for you. I really do hope, and as we continue this month, I'll share more. We need to talk more about these signs, educate our young ones to see those signs and to not glorify or idolize the things that we see in the media sometimes. I hope that by sharing and that by talking about what's been going on and everything, that it becomes more normal to hear out a survivor, that we stop normalizing these types of relationships, that we get to a place that we can save those victims that have passed away at the hands of their abuser. There are so many people, women, children, men. There are so many folks that don't make it because they pass away at the hands of their abuser. And I want you to know that there's always support, that you will be believed, that you will be believed. I know that you're scared, but know that there is a way to get out. Know that there's a way to be heard. I hope that this episode of Blooming Dandelion, as we talked about the love bombing signs, that we unite and normalize talking about these situations, because it needs to not be so scary to not talk about it. I hope that you share resources if you can for this awareness month. And I hope that my story helps someone. And I'll continue to say that. Even if it's one person that I impact and help out, I am doing my job. I love y'all so much. I hope you stay safe. I hope you stay grounded and that you find ways to help yourself and help survivors this month and always. Love y'all. Thanks for tuning in to Blooming Dandelion. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Follow us on social media on Instagram at Blooming Dandelion Podcast for more inspiration. And remember to keep on blooming. See you next time, dandelions.